Oh, there's a wreck he's gone down to. And there's a blowout. That is loads of bubbles. That's a fast leak. Hi divers, and welcome back to another scuba diving reaction video. Today we're reacting to Scuba Failure at 180 feet, ZEAGLE Regulator First Stage Fails by What and When 2. So, firstly, a bit to unpack here. Obviously, equipment failure is never good on a dive. It can be often an end of dive situation. But on top of that, he's gone down to 180 feet. That's a deep dive. For anyone who works in meters, that's 54 meters deep, or approximately 54 meters. So this is definitely a seriously deep dive. So hopefully he has got some considerations in place for doing deep dives, because often when you go down to this kind of depth, you're going to go past your NDLs, that's your no decompression limits. So you will be doing a decompression dive. So hopefully he's factored in things like stops on the way up. Maybe he's got some deco stages with him to make the ascent at the end of the dive shorter. But we're just going to have to wait and see on that. Now, I do recognise that name on the account because we've seen a previous video of him and he did less than ideal diving. Firstly, having another equipment failure, having harassing wildlife, and also illegally spearfishing, which is obviously not great behaviour to see a diver do on dives. So fingers crossed he's going to be better behaved on this dive. A friend who sent me this video, by the way, did give me some extra information which is not included in the video. First one is that he's diving on a single tank, which makes the whole equipment failure thing even worse. For anyone who doesn't know, if that tank goes now, he is in a lot more trouble than if he was to say diving on side mount or on twin tanks. I'll explain that later in the video, but just know that it would be a lot safer if he did have this different configuration. Second thing which isn't mentioned here is that he's diving apparently on air. Yeah. So technically, if you are going down to this depth, you can still use air. It's not toxic until you go beyond 66 meters. So he is still safe to be using air. However, you have to keep in mind he is going to experience gas narcosis, which is going to affect his judgment, reaction times, and a myriad of other things. And on top of that as well, air will get more dense as you go deeper, so it will be harder to breathe. So the alternative, which would be preferred, would be him breathing trimix, which includes helium in the mix. That makes the gas nice and light and less dense, so it's easy still to breathe. But on top of that, it gets rid of the narcotic effects, and along with some other benefits as well. It's typically preferred to use trimix when you get to these kind of depths. However, helium is a very expensive gas, so I get when people do go for the cheaper options, but for safety reasons and want to be safer divers, which is what the point of these videos are, obviously we would like to see him use helium ideally instead. But as always with these kind of videos though, it's not to be mean to the divers involved with these accidents, it's to use these videos as case studies so we can learn from them to have safe and happier dives ourselves. And obviously from my experience of being a scuba diving instructor, I'm going to give you any tips and tricks along the way and some advice to help you stay safe. And before we jump into the video, a quick word from our sponsor. Just kidding, I have way too small account to have a sponsor, so subscribe. But I do have some cool merch, so if you are a diver who likes some cool ocean merch, go check it out. I've recently done a new pirate design. Yes, I do the artwork myself. So check it out if you are curious about it, as Christmas is just around the corner. Anyway, without any further ado, let's jump into the video. Let's play. Ooh, music. I might have to mute the music for you guys if it's copyrighted. We'll find out later along the road. Okay, wait a second. So, ZEAGLE Regulator Failure. I'm not familiar with ZEAGLEs. If anyone's got experience with this type of regulator, let me know. I'm curious about it. If it's like a common occurrence is having a failure, or maybe he's just very unlucky. We don't know. But I say, it's not the first time he's experienced equipment failure in his videos, so maybe he just hangs out in the shed after each dive or whatnot and it's getting a bit janky. I don't know. Maybe it just feels weird that it's a common occurrence for him that he has equipment failure. Anyway, first stage seat blows out. Okay, doesn't give me exact information. It's on the 8th, 5th. He's American, so that's going to be the August of the 5th, 2017. Solo dive, so he's got no backup, which is important to know. Obviously, if you're diving solo, you've got no buddy to go to. He literally is on his own if his equipment failure happens now, which is very, very worrying. And it goes to even 185 feet, so it's even deeper than he says. So that's about 56 meters. So just important information to keep in mind. This has got a little bit more danger, so in fact it's solo though. So curious to see how he gets out of this mess, if it does have a failure. Because if it's a bad failure, you can lose gas very, very fast. And you do not want to be that scenario, obviously. Especially with no near air source. But as I say, I don't know if he's got any deco stages, so if he got to a certain depth, he could then switch to them. We'll have to see. Oh, hand waiting then. Not good to see if you could do a solo deep dive. I want to see very good diving. Oh, shark. What kind of shark are you? Looking at the head shape, I was going to say a tiger shark, but maybe not. Oh, we got a blurry regulator. I can't read that. One second, let me just go through that slowly and see if I can see what it says. Okay, so 1 second. So it looks like, I don't know if that says 168 or 188 or 186. He's deep. Let's just say he's deep. He's somewhere there. That 3, that might be his NDL. So that might be seeing how many minutes he's got before he hits the deco limit. As I say, it's really important that you are keeping an eye on this, because if you're going to deco, you've got mandatory stops to do, and that's going to make your scent a lot longer. And we've also got pressure. Okay, there, we can kind of see it. So it looks about, what, 2,700 psi, so almost a full tank. That's 90% full, if anyone's curious. So 180 if you are working in bar. So basically, very start of the dive. So he's basically got to depth, it looks like. Almost going to immediately hit that NDL. Yeah, so this is very, very early in dive. It's one of the things, because all these cuts and transitions, though, we don't know how long, obviously, the dive is, because we don't know how much time's elapsed between these takes. So it's just something to keep in mind. This could be like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, we don't know right now. Or it could just be literally just a few seconds. Oh, lots of fish. Big school of 30 pounds Cubera snapper. Okay, quick note from the previous video we saw of him, he was going for lots of small game fish, which I wasn't very happy with. If he's going to be hunting fish like this on this dive, they're definitely bigger to go for. However, from what the comment section said in the previous video, it's illegal to use spear guns in Florida when our scuba equipment. So, I don't know if he is going to be spearfishing or not, but just something to keep in mind here. You can hear the strain on the breathing because of it being deeper. That's the downside of using air, as I said before. But breathing rate seems fine to me. It seems like okay breathing rate. Nice and steady. Oh, there's a record he's gone down to. And there's a blowout. That is loads of bubbles. That's a fast leak. So just going to read the message here quickly. Major explosion behind my head. Yeah, which can be very discombobulating, by the way. That's like a very loud noise. You can feel it blasting there. Yeah, it's really, really jarring to have that. And it says extreme fast leak. So because he's got no other cylinder, I don't know if he's got, like I say, if he has deco stages, he can't swap them straight away because they'll be toxic to him at that depth. So he might have to ascend quickly before doing so. Yeah, this is going to be hard. One thing you could do if you only got a single tank, which not ideal and takes a bit of flexibility and motor skills, is to reach around to where the valve is and just turn it off. And then you can actually then feather it. When I mean feather, what I basically mean is you turn it off when you're exhaling, and when you breathe in, you turn it on again. So it'll be free-flowing while it's doing that, but then when you're going to exhale again, you're going to close it, which is something you can do if you've got very tight gas volumes you're working with, but less than ideal. But that's something you can hopefully use if he does have only one tank to work with here. Let's see how he does. Same bubbles. Jeez. Okay, wait a second. I'm inflating the VC and trying to get shallower ASAP. Okay, kind of smart here. I don't typically like power inflating to ascend, but if literally by the sounds of it, he's only got a single tank, he does just need to get out of the water as fast as possible right now. Hopefully he's not hit deco. If he's not hit deco, he hasn't got any mandatory stops, so he can get away with this and just do like a bounce dive. But if he has got deco obligations, he's got a high chance of getting DCS if he's going to skip this, potentially. We'll have to shut down and switch to a 13 cuff pony bottle. So he has a pony. It's not a lot of volume to work with, ponies aren't, but we'll see how it goes. As I say, typically you'd rather be on side mount or on twin tanks. Having just a pony isn't typically sufficient, especially for this kind of diving. Going that deep as well. Look at all those bubbles. Look at that. Jeez. Yeah, he's going to run out of gas in that main tank in no time. Okay, I have switched over to the bailout bottle, which I'm assuming is the pony. I still got something else. I think it's a pony. Need to slow this end. Smart. He's acknowledging that because he's inflated to go up, he's gone up way too fast. Now he's going to slow down. I will say he's handling this very well from what I can see, though. He's got himself shallow now. Swapped to his pony, so I'm getting with the tank shut down. Yeah, breathing's steady by sounds of it all. What's he doing? Oh, getting his DSMB out. Good boy. Way too many divers we've watched just forget to deploy the DSMB when they get to these emergencies. Very important, especially if you're in somewhere with boat traffic. Make sure that gets to the surface safely and is very visible so that you have a safe exit out of the water. So I'm glad to see that. Yeah, he's breathing a lot more calmer now because he's on that pony. He's recovered it really well. I'm curious if he has a decoy obligation or not, though, because going that deep... So, because we had a cut between it, I don't know how long he was actually down at the bottom pool, but we can assume maybe he doesn't have a decoy obligation. But yeah, having just a pony is not going to last him very long. It's going to last longer now he's shallow, obviously, but it's still not great. Yeah, keeping the line nice and taut, that's good. Obviously, when you have a DSMB, make sure that line's staying nice and taut so it's going to stay close to where you are, so it gives boats an accurate idea of where you are in the water, and it stops it drifting away from you with the current and becoming just annoying to deal with. Yeah, it seems like he's going steady up. Again, you could just throw some stops in yourself though here, potentially, as long as you've got enough pressure to work with safely, just to make it safer for you after having that bit of a rapid descent. But because it was not too long into the dive, he shouldn't have absorbed too much nitrogen, so his risk of DCS is going to definitely be lower. But yeah. I think the kind of crazy part of this, in a way, is that he's both lucky and unlucky at the same time, from what I can understand. He's obviously unlucky having a failure on his main single tank. However, I think it happened so early in the dive that he didn't hit deco. So now he's got enough volume to work with from both that tank losing gas and also from the pony, that he's able to complete the dive safely, which... If it happened, like, let's say 5 minutes later on the dive, or even 10 minutes later on the dive, just to make it a bit more extreme example here, he'd definitely have a deco obligation. He'd have to do some mandatory stops on his way up, and he wouldn't be able to complete them with the amount of gas he had, and the chance of getting decompression sickness then would be very, very high. That's the bends for anyone's non-diver watching this. Oh, the shark's back again. But yeah, he got quite lucky on that side of things, though, because I think that could have been a lot worse for him. But yeah, it seems like he's going nice and steady now, and he's handling that DSMB very well. Looking at it, it doesn't look like it's fully inflated. I would say that's a little nitpick I could give there, that you should try and aim to make sure it's fully inflated. But as I say, it looks like it's inflated enough that it will be visible on the surface, so boats will see it. But yeah, it looks about half full. We can see that other bit's kind of a bit floppy. Oh, is that a limber line? What's going on there? It looks like a fishing line. That's not like a mooring line, it's too small. You can see in his hand how small that is. Someone fishing on the dive site? I'm assuming it's a dive site it's meant to be on. Yeah, that's the boat it's coming from, it looks like. I said it before in the previous video though, he was spearfishing illegally in Florida, so I wouldn't put him past him if he's with a crew who's also fishing illegally as well on dive sites. Yeah. Again, that's all speculation. I don't know if that's entirely true, but not good to see a line hanging off that carelessly. Looks like no one's even fishing on the boat either, so is it that line just coming loose? So that's his boat by the look of things. It has a dive flag on it. Wait, what's he saying?
You should see the boat. Take this. I can take my tank off.
Just because that's good that people helping him. It's good that the people on board are helping him unload his gear, by the way. It just makes it smoother for his transition. It's probably quite exhausting, a bit stressed, still a bit of adrenaline after this.
You've got thousands of feet of line all over. Around the prop.
Wait, it's around the boat as well?
Holy fuck, I blew a hose or something. An O-ring or a hose on the main tank blew.
I don't normally like swearing, but it's one of those things like, he's clearly got an excuse to swear right now because of this situation.
I'm kind of freaked out.
I don't think the captain saw the bubbles. Right. He seems to be oblivious about the line. He's very aware of what's going on at all in the water.
Alright, we're going to have to trim the motor up.
Wait, is it wrapped around the engine? Oh wow, it is, yeah, you can see it there, the green line wrapped around the engine.
Well, alright, that's good. That's good. Look at this.
Has that stalled it?
Huh? Yeah, I did. I was freaking out. Alright, what? I'm alright.
Yeah, this is cleaning up himself now though, but that's a bit sloppy on the crew there. Like,
probably why you stalled.
he did stall it, yeah. I'm not surprised with how much line wraps around it. There we go. Oh, we get to have a look. Let's have a look.
The whole first stage blew out. Holy shit.
Wait.
From a girl. Holy shit. Let's see what it looks like. Whole thing. Oh, look at that shit.
Let's have a look.
That was super bad. It blew out. Just like, yeah, it was fucking bad. All right, hook it up. Let's hook it up and blow it out a little bit.
I don't want to be that guy, but yeah, that's why you dive with Din and not Yoke. Just kidding. However, I would always say I personally find Din regulators and first stages to be way more reliable. Let me know down below though, are you a Din person or are you a Yoke person when it comes to regulators? Curious on that point. But yeah, that is the video. As I said, I kind of feel like I covered a lot of the points. Just to kind of go over it all then though, I think a lot of the kind of strain could have been avoided by him just not being on a single tank. If he went for side mount instead, or if he went for twin tanks instead, it would be great. Just to kind of go over it for anyone who doesn't understand why. Essentially, if you had a blowout like that, your first stage went in your tank you're breathing off. With side mounts, you have another tank you can just swap to, if it be switch to long hose or switch to the short hose. Either way, you can just switch to the other tank and shut down the other tank. At that point though, you would still end the dive because obviously you've lost the redundancy now. It's less safe to continue the dive. You've got less volume to work with. However, you do have a whole other tank to complete that dive with. So if you did have any extra stops to do there, hopefully that would be enough to complete those stops. Because the pony he had here just isn't enough often. Again, if he had a long sort of deco stops to be doing on that ascent, he probably would have run out of gas. And that would have just been not good. And he would have to just cut it short, risk getting DCS because that's better than drowning. But obviously not great. And then the other alternative is using twin tanks. So I'll put a picture on screen somewhere to make it more clear. But with twin tanks, you do have a manifold in the middle there. So if you did have this blowout situation there and you weren't sure which tank's hemorrhaging gas, what you first do is you turn off your manifold in the middle. That isolates the two tanks, so now they're two separate single tanks. And then it's a lot clearer to see which side the actual gas is leaking from, if it be the right hand side or the left hand side. And then you just turn that tank off. And then the cool thing with twin tanks is you can reopen that manifold in the middle afterwards, and then the gas will flow again freely between the two tanks, and without leaking. So you still keep the gas there. Obviously you lost a bit of what's been hemorrhaged, but it means you have a lot more volume still to work with than you would with either a single tank and even with side mounts, which makes twin tanks a really safe setup for that reason. So compared to what situation he was in here, it wasn't great. As I mentioned before, you can also feather. That could have been a way he could try and make that gas in his main tank last a bit longer, but not everyone has the motor skills to be able to do that, so just keep that in mind. It might not be as easy for you to do that. However, another way which this could have been avoided is just diving with another diver. It's just one of the simple things. Doing solo dives comes without risk. You need extra redundancies, so the fact he's doing a single tank solo is just very, very reckless. It's already a situation where you need more redundancies, so still do it pretty much bare bones and less than you probably would do even with a buddy team, because I'd expect to go that deep, I would still want to be on twin tanks. It feels very reckless. Also, no deco stages. If he was down there for too long and whatnot, the ascent becomes even longer without having some decompression gas. So like, let's say 30% oxygen blend there, and then like maybe a high one, like 81% or 100% for the very shallows. Makes the ascent a lot shorter. So it's just a good safety precaution to have there. So have some deco stages with you will make this even safer as well. Yeah, I just feel like he just didn't have enough redundancies here, and it felt very weird that he didn't do that because it just has a lot more unnecessary risks. We talked about at the start of the video, try mix would have been great too to see. But things I will commend him for, he was very calm, he got out the water smoothly, he deployed his DSMB. Great to see these kind of things. These are things we have seen in the past, but we've missed out. So that's the situation. It's very stressful, lots of adrenaline in the air. You're going to make mistakes. It was actually handled pretty damn well, in my opinion. I just wish he put more redundancies in place, and then it would have been a lot easier for him to get out of the situation and had a lot less risk involved. Let's talk a little bit about that fishing line. That's just very sloppy from the captain. I think the captain just seemed a bit, I don't know, maybe he's a bit of a stoner, he's a bit out of it.
Smoke weed every day.
But he didn't seem to know that his liners all going over the ocean, over a dive site as well. Not great. It got tangled in his engine and caused it to stall. And yeah, it just seems like a lot of unawareness because he didn't even realise there's a problem there. As we saw how many bubbles were going up, you would have definitely noticed if you were around that area, all those bubbles coming to the surface, that something's not going too well down there. So that's one of those situations where it's a bit of a lack of awareness, where they could potentially help. Maybe, I don't know if he has another scuba equipment on the boat, but they could have gone down sort of thing to him potentially, if they, because he's seen his DSMB, put the guy who's on the boat in the water, if there's some equipment on, with an extra stage or something to pass to him if need be. There's things you can do as a support diver there. However, it felt a bit sloppy on that side of things to me, that the boat crew wasn't really sure what's going on and whatnot there. But yeah, also just to point out again, he did have his spear gun with him as well during that video. I did notice that. I just didn't make a comment on it during the time of the video. But yeah, chances are he was planning to go for those snappers. But as previously pointed out, it is illegal to spearfish on scuba equipment in Florida. So not great to see him keep doing more potentially illegal activity. Obviously, this blowout stopped him actually doing any of that, so technically he didn't do any dodging in the video. But the fact he had a spear gun there and also a bag to put the dead fish in shows he had the intentions to do that. So not the best on that side of things. At least they're bigger fish than they were before, but typically if you want to be doing stuff like that, just do it free diving, as that is a legal way of doing it. But anyway, if you think I missed anything out in the video, please leave a comment down below, let me know and share your thoughts. I'd love to have a conversation with you about this video. And if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful in any way, please give me a thumbs up. It helps me out a ton, but help other divers find this video too. And if you like the video, you should also check out this video here. I think you're going to really enjoy that one. And oh, that button down below there, that's to subscribe to me. You should also do that too if you want to see more content from myself. Anyway, divers, I hope you have an awesome and safe dives. I'm going to see you all in the next video. Bye bye.